o'clock. And I do want to say, I've been told that I've been pronouncing, when I talk about Chatham-Kent neighboring, the Lenape or the Lunapuy, as I was calling it, and they were talking about how that's incorrect. There are two official ways to pronounce that. One is Lenape, and the other is Lunapewuk. So it's slightly different sounds that you make with your your vowels and things. So anyway, I apologize to anyone who's been offended by my mispronunciation of the Lunapewuk. Anyway, so here we go. I work at the Thames Family Health Team here in Chatham, Ontario, currently home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and it's situated in the traditional territory of the Potawatomi, the Ojibwa, the Anishinaabeg, and the Lunapewuk nations, as protected all by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Chatham-Kent neighbors the Lenape at Delaware Nation, which is part of the McKee Purchase Treaty, as well as the unceded territory of the Ba-Kijwang Walpole Island First Nation. Chatham-Kent continues to be home to diverse First Nation and Métis people. My goal as an individual is to acknowledge the Indigenous people who have lived on and cared for this land from time immemorial, to express my gratitude to them, but to also acknowledge the traumatic impact of colonization from my ancestors. As a settler with ancestral ties to continental Europe, when my grandparents came to these lands more than 100 years ago, their survival was not dependent on the support of the Indigenous people. The land where they settled had been changed and scarred by agriculture and industry. What should never be forgotten, however, is that those European settlers who came hundreds of years before my ancestors did would never have survived without the support, the generosity, and the care of the Indigenous people that they encountered, a people who had lived on these lands for thousands of years before. In an attempt to live respectfully together, many treaties and agreements were signed between First Nations people and those settlers who came to colonize the land and the people. Agreements were made and signed, but never honored respectfully. Land ownership, after all, was a foreign concept for Indigenous people to comprehend. How can someone own the land and the sky above? What does it mean to own? First Nations beliefs about the natural world were thought to be simple-minded by colonizers, but Indigenous people wisely subscribed to the views that a person should share the bounty of the land and take only what is needed, not to deplete or harm what is natural, and always making sure to leave enough for the people who will come after. This is the meaning behind the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. The wisdom and generosity of the First Nations has never been honored by those who colonized. This arrogance truly harmed and did much damage, as many Indigenous nations were completely decimated by diseases and the colonization process that was brought to this land. Today, we struggle how to acknowledge this painful truth, the damage and the pain that our righteous and arrogant sense of entitlement and colonial history has caused to the suffering of so many. Being able to give thanks to the stewards of the land who came before me, and being able to reflect upon the meaning behind the Dish with One Spoon is an honor. And this is something that I think about every time I'm nourished physically and emotionally by the bounty of our natural world. It's important for me to offer gratitude and thanks to the wisdom of those who came before me and cared for and respected everything in our natural world. I also commit to filling the dish, learning more about Indigenous communities and sharing those learnings with the people in my life. So in the spirit of reconciliation, let's do all that we can to acknowledge the reality of our shared and checkered history, to embrace and support the recommendations in the Truth and Reconciliation Report. In doing so, we work to build an environment of trust and respect to make this land a welcoming and healthy home for all people. As a visitor on this land, I strive to deepen my own understanding of our local First Nations communities. I commit to reframing my responsibilities to the land and our community. I offer my respect for this land that I am on today and for the people who came first, as well as the people who have come to reside here since. As beneficiaries of this treaty and the generosity and care of Indigenous or First Nations people, we must never forget but learn from our mistakes and our mistaken beliefs. Today, let's agree to the mutual sharing of the obligations, responsibilities, and privilege to be stewards of the land, the water, and the air. We must hold all that is in the natural world in our highest esteem and give honor to the wonderment of all things in creation. So, as I mentioned, I have some really interesting information about poetry because did you know that April is National Poetry Month? So the question is it worth celebrating? And what can a poem do? Poetry has interesting impact on our lives when we give pause to listen to it. This person, what is his name? Darius V. Daughtry, who's a professional poet, says that a poem can hold you and scold you at the same time. It can make you float. It can introduce you to yourself. And I wonder, and he wonders, just how much we could accomplish if people really embrace that idea. So there's also it turns out there's also some research that supports the benefits of poetry. It improves the well-being for people who are in palliative care. Anyone who uses creative expression, poetry therapy, it can be used as a very, very powerful tool to help people who experience trauma. It improves self-awareness and it encourages healthier functioning, increases positive social interactions. Poetry is about giving voice and constructing meaning of things that happen in our lives. And there's also a certain amount of evidence that supports poetry can bring about, excuse me, kinder communities. And they did interesting studies in prisons to encourage people who were incarcerated to write poetry. And they found that participants who wrote the poems about their childhood and just, other powerful forces in their lives felt more human and really more forgiving of themselves and other people. And so they really feel like that's pretty significant evidence to say that poetry can soften and bring about compassion. So I really like this. Turns out that when your brain is listening to poetry, that there's some interesting things that happen in our actual brain when we're listening to something. It usually creates a certain amount of pleasure in the nucleus accumbens, which is a part of the brain that has to do with emotions and processing of emotions. And that when people are listening to poetry, and it doesn't matter if it's really uplifting or powerful, it just matters that it moves a person emotionally, that it seems to create something very pleasurable in our brain and we like it. So I thought that was really interesting, helping us to make connections, helping us to problem solve, challenging and predicting or confirming our challenging beliefs. And it also increases our learning. So 5 ways that we can celebrate this month to cultivate a habit of reading poetry, which is what I try to do Tuesday night meditation. It's very powerful to write poems with people and loved ones, even if you're just making up fun things. To go to a live poetry event and hear a poet reciting their own poetry, see if you can learn something new about poetry, and then also giving yourself permission to play with poetry. So I liked all those suggestions and want to hang on to this because I'm sure I'll want to share that with folks at another time on Tuesday night meditation and in other seasons of Tuesday night meditation. So I'm just gonna put that there. So those of you who have known me and have participated in Tuesday night meditation, whether from its inception way back before COVID when we used to do it in person. There's a poem that I am always so moved by and believe fits for so many things. And even though it was written in the 14th century, or the 1400s rather, so 15th century, 1400s, by the Sufi poet Malawa Jalaluddin Rumi, it's very pertinent today. And as you guys know, I often speak about accepting the difficult and not turning away from things that are hard or upsetting. In fact, as Rumi says, welcoming those feelings. So I'm just going to read it and then we'll have a little, I'll share with you some thoughts about it, but here goes. And this is the guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And so this really encourages us to welcome all emotions, even the negative ones, as opportunities for growth. And that's what it means to me whenever I hear it. And I'm often, sitting with patients, and I have at least a few times pulled out this poem. And, sometimes people look at me kind of puzzled, and sometimes people, it resonates with them. So give it some thought, and we will move on now to a prayer or poem, prayer, whatever you want to call it, that's well known to many people all over the world. And it goes like this. It's called the Serenity Prayer. It goes like this. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking as He did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that He will make things right if I surrender to His will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with Him forever and ever in the next. Amen. Now, if you're like most people, we hear the shorter version, which is God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And the rest of the poem isn't as widely known, but I wonder if anyone knows who that was written by. It was written by a Christian writer, an American theologian, Reinhold Niebuhr, in 1930s. And it became very popular in the 1930s, which was a very economically depressed time, a time full of a great deal of uncertainty and hardship. And it was first printed in a book of prayers in 1944 for the armed forces of World War II. But it was by that stage already being widely used in church groups, and had, became one of the most popular prayers. After World War II, Bill W., who was the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, introduced it into AA, and it has become known as the AA prayer. And it's really quite powerful when you think about it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. There's so much in our life that we can't change. It's been said many, many times we can't change the past, but it also takes a great deal of courage to change the things that we can change and to know them and to know the difference between the two. So I really, really like it for that because so often we're saddened by the things that happen to in our lives that we have no ability to change. We can't change the past, but we do have the ability to work with the present day and to bring about the change that we can. But it's really worth noting that that takes a lot of courage. So, um, I just wanted to have that also spoken for today. Um, so I think what I'm going to do a little bit of both. I want to talk tonight about forgiveness and the benefits of it, but I also recognize that sometimes we need to, take a moment to just be. And so I have some other words about forgiveness, and they're written in a lovely way, and they're very meditative. So I'm going to read those. Then we'll do some breathing, some relaxation, and then I'll have a little discussion about. I guess it's not really a discussion, is it? I guess it's just me talking at you guys about forgiveness. But there's some really, really important things about forgiveness that pertain, especially to having compassion and compassion for ourselves. More and more and more, I just really, really realize that if we don't have compassion for ourselves, it's very difficult to do all the other difficult things that we have to do. And we very often get stuck in that feeling of it shouldn't be this way, and I can't control this and I can't control that, and we can get quite hopeless. And so we want to counter that in any way that we can. And I think that forgiveness is a really powerful tool for that. So here are some. I wish I could tell you where these words came from. I've just had access to these words probably for, I don't know, 20, 25 years, and they always have resonated with me. And I know that I've shared this with many people over the years, but I'm going to share them one more time with you guys. Forgiveness for the ways that I have hurt and harmed you, have betrayed or abandoned you, caused you suffering, knowingly or unknowingly, out of my pain, my fear, my anger, and my confusion. I ask for your forgiveness. I ask for your forgiveness. For the many ways that I have hurt and harmed myself, that I have betrayed or abandoned myself out of fear and pain and confusion through action or inaction, in thought, word, or deed, knowingly or unknowingly. I extend a full and heartfelt forgiveness. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. And for the many ways that others have hurt, wounded, or harmed me out of their fear, their pain, their confusion, and their anger. I have carried this pain in my heart long enough. To the extent that I'm ready, I offer you forgiveness. To those who have caused me harm, I offer my forgiveness. I forgive you. For the purposes of, in terms of the self-compassion component, this comes to mind every time I hear someone say something very negative about themselves, or, call themselves stupid or hit themselves on the head. Like, how could I not remember that? Or lose patience with themselves, because that more than anything, you know, really causes harm to ourselves. And in that way, we are betraying ourselves and we abandon ourselves because we're fearful, we're frustrated, we have pain, we're confused. We may do something to help ourselves, or we may do nothing to help ourselves. And it keeps us very, very stuck and suffering. And so my belief is that first and foremost, we have to find powerful ways to forgive ourselves. And in so doing, it turns out that we have then room to forgive others. And so I really, really want you to hear those words. I extend a full and heartfelt forgiveness. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Very profound. And we'll talk more about that. So leaving those words and letting them sort of echo in your mind. Let's bring some relaxation to ourselves. And as we often do, we can begin by sitting comfortably and adopting your favorite meditation posture, whatever that might be. I'm reminded of times past where other teachers that I've experienced, and even some new ones today, really encourage their students to sit upright with a very straight posture and hands on their lap with legs crossed, sitting in a lotus position. And I like a lotus position for a lot of things, and even for brief meditations, but I cannot sit in a lotus position for longer than 5 minutes at a time without getting very, very achy. And then I start focusing on how much that hurts. And I don't really think that's the intended purpose of meditation. And so other teachers that I've experienced widely and compassionately encouraged us to be as comfortable as we can, making ourselves very comfortable. Feet up the wall if that feels right, lying down if that's soothing to you. And there should be no shame and also no striving to achieve, a particular posture. And that's a hard one to get across to those teachers who really, really subscribe to that view. And so then, I just, well, whatever works, right, for people. So anyway, I just want you to know whatever works for you is good. So tonight, I'm bringing some loving care and kindness to ourselves as we gently, maybe we have our eyes open. If they are, then just cast them down. If you're going to close them, know that that's so restful for your eyes as you bring awareness to the fact that you're breathing. And as you breathe in, noticing the coolness of the breath in, and perhaps warmth and moisture as you breathe out. You might also notice the movement of your chest as you breathe in, and as your belly as you exhale out, and how things will either move in and out or up and down. So a moment of silence as you follow your own miraculous breathing. And you can do this however you want, in through your nose or your mouth, out through your nose or your mouth, whatever serves you best right now. You're even allowed to change it up as suits you. But just for about a moment or two of silence, so a moment, like a minute or two of clock time, let's just follow our breath. comfortable breath in, exhaling out in your own time. Very nice. It's also kind if you can notice any places of tension in your body. Sometimes inside our mouths, even, we hold our tongue or hold our jaw very rigidly. So just right now, checking in, what is happening inside your mouth? Are you clenching? Are you pressing against any part of your mouth? And if you are, a gentle jaw wobble to let go of any tension, and then just relaxing your tongue, letting it fall to the bottom of your palate, or you can rest it on the top, whatever works best for you. And I don't mind sharing with you. Sometimes I like to have it up top. Sometimes I like to have it on the bottom. It depends. And I don't really know what it depends on. It's just about whatever feels comfortable in the moment. So paying attention to things like that, even simple little things like that. And now taking a moment to scan from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, noticing any places of tension or tightness, sending a gentle message to your body that we're coming to bring some relief and relaxation. And if it serves, taking in a lovely, deeper, refreshing breath as you exhale, making a special sort of reminder to yourself of places that are particularly tense and tight. And just because it's kind of interesting, out of 10, if you had to rate, how, in terms of how tense you're feeling, if 10 is like super, super, super tense, just the tensest, and 1 is no, not very tense at all, where would you put yourself in this moment? What number would you give to yourself? And just think about it. Repeat it to yourself a few times so you don't forget. And then let's bring some lovely and gentle relaxation to our bodies. And let's think about starting with our toes. Noticing whatever sensations you're able to notice about your toes. If there's any tension or cramping or tingling or warmth or coolness. Perhaps you can notice your footwear or something else about your toes and your feet and your ankles and your shins and your calf muscles. Let's just stop there for a moment and really bring our gentle awareness to this part of our body. So from our knees down, whatever you're able to notice, maybe your calf muscles are resting on something, maybe your legs are crossed. So maybe you're able to notice points of contact or clothing or socks or something else about this part of your body that you're aware of. And if it feels right, I'm going to give you some options. You can either tense muscles by sort of hyperextending your toes and bringing some tension to your calf muscles, or you can let there be a warmth or a coolness or just a really heavy, soothing feeling, almost like a melting sensation to the muscles and bones from your knees all the way down to your toes. Whatever is going to serve you best. I'm just going to give you a moment now to either tense or to release and relax this part of your body. Whatever soothes you best. Just bringing that kind of awareness. And then taking a breath in. And as you exhale out, releasing any tension or tightness. Or if you've been letting your lower limbs feel that heaviness, just letting them go, letting them kind of float in your awareness. As you move up to your knees, the bony kneecaps and the soft backs of your knees, Noticing any sensations there, as well as your upper thighs, the backs of your thighs. If you happen to be sitting, perhaps you're able to notice the points of contact on the back of your thighs. Or if your hands are resting on the tops of your thighs, noticing the warmth. Or maybe there's something completely different that you're aware of about your upper legs. Just taking a moment to really, really bring a loving and gentle focus, which is to say your awareness of your upper legs, as well now as your sit bones, your hips, your pelvic bone, all of it, noticing places of contact, warmth, heaviness, something else. Taking a moment to really bring awareness and focus to your sit bones and your upper legs. And as I did last time, I'm going to give you choice so you can tense up all those muscles in your legs and in your buttocks, tensing them and hold that tension, or you can allow yourself to really sink into a heaviness that's soothing, very, very soothing, as you just allow yourself to feel relaxed with no tension, just more and more relaxed, and perhaps letting go with your awareness of any tension or tightness, breathing it out. But those of you who have been tensing, tense and then release. And together we can release any tension or tightness. In fact, breathing in and exhaling, breathing out, and imagine any tension or tightness flowing out and away from our bodies, away from that particular muscle group, as we allow ourselves to feel a gentle sense of relaxation and release. Just like that, breathing in and breathing out, letting go, letting go. As we bring our loving and gentle awareness now to our low back and our low abdomen, whatever you can notice about this part of your body. Maybe there's some digestion happening, or maybe there's ache or pain, or maybe you're able to notice again points of contact with a surface that you might be resting on, or maybe you notice your belt digging into your back. Whatever you're aware of in your low abdomen and your low back. Breathing with more awareness and gentleness. As you notice now your belly, your abdomen moving in and out with your breath, and also your mid-back, perhaps ribs that are moving in and out with your breath. And let's just rest there with this part of our body, our core, noticing any sensations, whether it's with the breath or small ache or pain or digestion or clothes, or something else completely. Maybe your hands are resting on your belly. Just bringing your awareness to this center part of your body. And then just as we did the last time, you can think about tensing all those muscles in your belly and in your back. Tensing, 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 holding that. Or you can think about softening on purpose, feeling a gentle spreading and a letting go of those muscles, or any combination of that. So go ahead and bring those sensations to that part of your body now, whatever you choose to do. And anybody holding, breathing in. And as we exhale out, releasing and letting go. Even if it's that heaviness, you can invite there to be a lightening or a floating feeling. and ease, whatever's serving you best right now. As you breathe in and out, letting the gentle movement of the breath soothe and release and almost gently rock that part of our bodies. And we can breathe in and breathe out as we bring our awareness now to our chest and our upper back. That would be our shoulder blades and our collarbones and our sternum, and even to our shoulders, large muscles into our shoulders and the muscles that connect neck to shoulders, just all of those hard working, thick muscles that support our bodies. With your gentle awareness, tuning in to your back, your shoulder blades, and your spine, your collarbones, and your shoulder bones. From the inside out, noticing whatever sensations are there to be noticed. Whether there's an achy tension in the thick bands of muscles, I guess they're called the trapezius muscles that support head and connect it to your shoulders. I just found myself rubbing those muscles because they do feel very sore. You might want to do the same, or even raising your shoulders and giving a little rotation in one direction and then in another. Taking a breath in and just notice the relief that might have brought to you, movement in your shoulders. And they really are a place that holds a lot of tension and tightness, and it can really accumulate there throughout the day. So just as we are noticing any sensations in that upper part of our body, our shoulders, our shoulder blades and collarbones and sternum and mid-back, upper back, anything that you're able to notice about this part of your body. If you're like me, you might notice a little bit of a movement at your chest and my low back. It's all sort of moving, the ribs. And again, if you want to bring tension on purpose to that area, just make that area hard. Clench your shoulders together and perhaps squish together your shoulder blades, tensing, 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 releasing when you're ready. And if you just want to become more gently aware of this part of your body and sink into the stillness, a very loving and gentle heaviness, whatever relaxation works for you. And breathing in and knowing that with each breath out, you're releasing any tension or tightness. You're releasing anything that you no longer need. And I love to imagine that as we release it from our bodies, that it sort of falls down towards Mother Earth, and she takes it and recycles it into something more positive, a more positive energy. She's the master recycler after all. Again, very gently breathing in, bringing your awareness to your chest and your upper back, shoulder blades, collarbone, and shoulders. As you think about releasing and letting go with your breath. I'm going to invite you now to breathe in one more time, releasing very gently, letting go. As you bring your awareness now to your upper arms, those hard working muscles, your elbows, the inside tender part of your elbows, your lower arms, all the hard working muscles, your wrists, in your hands, each of your fingers and your thumbs, your palms, the backs of your hands. Really sensing the heaviness of your arms. And each of these groups of muscles and bones that make up your arms, that work so hard throughout the day, doing complicated things, fine motor things, large motor things. Whatever it is, they work very hard. Squeezing and opening or typing at a keyboard, or washing dishes, whatever it is. Taking a moment now to sense into your fingers, whatever sensations you can notice about your fingers. Maybe there's tingling or warmth or something else altogether. Your hands, your wrists, your lower arms, elbows, inside it, your elbows, and your deltoid muscles, those large muscles that everyone likes to flex. And so in this moment again, choice to either tense up those muscles by making fists with your hands and just bringing a lot of tension to your arms, tensing them, breathing in and then exhaling. And as you exhale, release, or just simply sensing in from the inside out all of those muscles and bones, blood that flows down the length of your arms. Feeling the heaviness of your arms as they almost feel like they're pulling away from your shoulders. It can be such a soothing feeling. And that's gravity doing its thing, working its magic. And those of you who've been with me for a while know how I feel about gravity. Like it cradles us and pulls us ever closer. A very soothing feeling, if it is for you. If it's not, then just simply think about releasing, letting go with each breath in and out, releasing and letting go. As you bring awareness now to your neck and back and your throat in front, depending on what part of you needs some relaxation, you can either bend your head forward or bend your head back. Just bringing your awareness to what part of you, or perhaps both parts of you, that needs some relaxation and release. So go ahead and think about making your neck and throat tense. Breathing in and out, letting go and letting there be a softening. And then maybe it helps to do a little bit of a head wobble, turning your head slowly from right to left or left to right, or maybe rotating your head a bit. Just again, noticing tension or tightness, breathing in, releasing and letting go, and perhaps moving your body in ways that allow you to release and let go. And just now I'm kind of adjusting my whole body as I think about releasing and letting go. And when I bring some stillness, the aliveness and the release that that has brought about is much more apparent to me. And I can really appreciate it. I can really appreciate that relaxation, that letting go, but we're not done. Because now we bring awareness to our face and our heads. And I'm just going to invite you just to bring your hands to your scalp and a little gentle massage, like you're washing, shampooing your hair. And then perhaps giving some attention to the bony parts behind your ears and all around your ears. And even massaging your ears like they're made of Play-Doh. and face, just kind of gently cradling your face in your warm hands, like you're cradling the face of a beloved child or pet. And breathing in, and then maybe bringing your fingertips to your eyebrows and gently separating them and pulling them apart. A little massage of your temples, massage of your cheekbones, opening and closing your jaw. Letting your hands rest on your throat, feeling the warmth, and then letting your hands rest on your heart center. As you breathe in and out. If you want, you can scrunch up your eyes, closing them very tightly, and clench your jaw as you bring tension and tightness to your face. And with the breath, exhaling, letting go of any tension or tightness, which is simply gently experiencing sensations in your head and scalp and your face. Noticing from the inside out what's happening in your mouth or your eyes. Letting your eyes be soft, soft, soft. Breathing in and breathing out, and with each breath out, letting go, letting go, letting go. And if it serves you, just letting your hands comfortably drop beside you or rest on your lap, whatever feels right. As we breathe in and out, perhaps 2 more breaths in like that in your own space and time. And if your eyes have been closed, sort of gently blinking them open if the room that you're sitting in is bright. And then I'm just going to remind you of the score that you gave yourself before we began our relaxation meditation. And what is it now? If I'm honest, I wish it was less than what I'm feeling. It's definitely less than what I started with, but I wish that it was less. So I'm going to promise myself that I will bring some of that relaxation to myself again the rest of the evening, and then, hopefully be able to release a little bit more. I'm just aware of our time now. We're at 7:48, and I did promise to talk to you more about forgiveness. And I have one from Sharon Salzberg, and I like hers because it's very, very brief and to the point. And do you think I can find it right now? Where did it go? Well, that's 1 and 2. Oh yeah, okay, here it is. Sorry about that. So, here are 3 ways to begin to make space in your heart for forgiveness. First of all, make peace with your pain, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, or just that feeling of wanting something to be very different than it is. Ultimately, it's important, first of all, to give yourself permission to acknowledge and honor what is hurting, what is difficult for you. Notice where you feel it in your body, where you hold it. And then gently moving from that to, what do I need now? What do I need to be able to forgive, to heal, and to move on? Which, by the way, does not mean that we forget, because we're constantly reminded every day of things that cause us pain. But each time we are, if we can gently meet it with openness and care and compassion, we're more likely to be able to move with it and beyond it. Next, Sharon Salzberg recommends that you offer yourself all the compassion that you need. Meditating on forgiveness is not terribly different from a loving kindness practice in that we repeat affirmations. We can repeat affirmations. And we do very often, and I've always done that with our loving kindness meditations, that we offer our positive affirmations to ourselves as well as to other people. And so that is also a practice in loving kindness, but also in forgiveness, because you really can't force yourself to get over painful feelings, especially if we're going to talk harshly, like, I should really just let this go. I should stop thinking these things, because that doesn't work. We come back to it again and again. So can we be more kind to ourselves? Can we create space to accept our mistakes as well as the mistakes of others? And that's what it's all about. That was why, that those words about forgiveness resonate so strongly, because before we can think about forgiving anyone, we have to forgive ourselves. And, it's really, really important to do that, but that doesn't mean that we forget. That doesn't mean that if somebody has hurt us, oh, it's okay. How often have you done that? Somebody apologizes to you and you say, that's okay. No, no, it's not okay. You need to graciously accept their apology. Thank you for apologizing. If you want to say something else, well, we all make mistakes. That's gentle, that's kind. But we don't say, oh, it's okay. Because when we say it's okay, that gives people permission to do it again. And although they might, we don't really want to encourage that. So the other is to accept your own imperfections with love. We spend a lot of time and energy wishing that we were different. If we can kind of adopt that non-judgmental perspective that, no, this is who I am. That doesn't mean, that we might not want to make changes, but can we accept this is where I am right now? And what do I want for myself right now? For instance, if someone said, well, I'd like to be able to climb my stairs without huffing and puffing, well, that's a very gentle goal. And okay, so what would I have to do to be able to do that? Well, I probably need to move my body more. Can I think about doing that? Well, maybe I can, but maybe not today. But can I do that tomorrow? When would I like to start? Very gently inquiring with yourself, but not in a harsh way. So often it's like, well, I can't even do that. I can't even climb the stairs without being out of breath. And that, does that motivate us? Does that kind or compassionate? Not at all. And so that really creates a lot of tension. We might kind of react defensively and then just think about giving up, because all of this has been very uncomfortable. So accepting our own imperfections with love and care, and using that non-judgmental attitude, everything is forgivable. Everything, whether it's our laziness in the moment, our self-hatred, even that too. I hate that I'm so full of self-hatred. But it's hard. And that self-hatred sometimes, that expression, give yourself a kick in the pants. Sometimes we talk that way to ourselves. And interestingly, when we have awareness of that, that's when we can make changes. That's when we can, oh, what did I just say to myself? That was harsh. Sometimes we're impatient with ourselves. Sometimes we judge our shape of our bodies or our tendency to overeat. And so, what about focusing on the gentler aspects of ourselves? It's okay. Not giving ourselves a free pass, it's okay. But just, yeah, I know this and I want to do better and I will do better. But first and foremost, we must accept our imperfections. And what's really, really important about that is that that's when we, with that gentleness, can have moments and decisions to make changes. So so there is a breathing practice about forgiving and Sometimes, there is some benefit to doing this if someone has really, really hurt us and we want to let it go. Why do we want to let it go? Because we've carried that pain in our heart long enough, and we may just want to be lighter with that. And I know I've spoken to you in the past about the benefits of that. Forgiveness really isn't about anybody else as much as about bringing comfort and ease to ourselves. So, noticing what comes up when we're feeling some sort of sadness, some sort of ache or frustration or whatever, and allow it, offering yourself some forgiveness for thinking the things that you're thinking or directing it to another person. However long you want to spend reflecting on that, but longer than a second or two. And just, if anyone has hurt or harmed me knowingly or unknowingly, I forgive them. Once again, thinking about past painful experiences, this can be a really loving, kind, and gentle way to let go of hurt and pain that we hold that causes more hurt and pain and suffering for ourselves. Most of us experience a certain amount of self-blame that we aren't born blaming ourselves, by the way. We learn that through important people in our lives. Sometimes that can be parents or teachers or friends or, and they knowingly on purpose, sometimes or not on purpose, will compare us to other people or tell us that we're too much or that, we're a lot or, they say things that gives us that feeling. And then we end up, because it can't be them, then we blame ourselves. And that really, really is a practice that you want to focus on, because even forgiving people who misspeak or don't say the most helpful things, then that gives us an entryway into exploring those other things about, well, is it really my fault? Is it anybody's fault? I didn't like what that person said, but I might have some insight and understanding of why they said what they said. For all the ways that someone has hurt or harmed us, for all the ways that I've hurt or harmed myself, knowingly or unknowingly, I offer forgiveness. I offer forgiveness. So these are some of the important aspects of forgiveness, and as you have observed, they really dovetail quite nicely with self-compassion. Self-compassion is part of our loving kindness practice. And in the 2 minutes that we have left, I really want to end this meditation session of 2025 with the loving kindness affirmations that I like to share with you each week. And because we're a little bit short of time, I'll stick to the ones that are the most, I guess, pertinent or relevant to these times that we're living in. But I'd also like to make sure that you have time to bring something more personal. In fact, I'd like to start with that. I think just taking a breath in right now and bringing to mind something or some situation or someone or something that you've been part of or something that you've observed that needs some love and kindness directed towards it. And it might be someone that you don't know, but you've seen, or, there's so many people that are hurting right now. And so if you can think about bringing a person or a situation to mind, and as you do that, think about offering some kind of positive, loving, kind affirmation. And repeating it 3 times as we do. And then remembering to breathe in very deeply. And as you breathe out, letting those powerful, loving, kind, positive affirmations travel outside of your mind, body, into the room that you're sitting in, outside of your home, into your community, into our country, into our world. And then the last one that I'd like to offer you guys tonight goes like this. May all beings everywhere, including myself, be peaceful and free from pain and suffering. May all beings everywhere, including myself, be peaceful and free from pain and suffering. May all beings everywhere, including myself, be peaceful and free from pain and suffering. Breathing in and exhaling out. Letting all of that be released from our hearts to be received by hearts around the world. Bringing hands together to your heart center as I look at all of your names. Namaste. Namaste.